everybody, and welcome into the Buckeye Blitz podcast. I am your host, Chad Stryker. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to spend some time with me. I just thought I would jump on. Didn't do a Tuesday podcast. Honestly, I was just so bummed after the loss to the team up north that didn't feel like doing one. Just didn't. So that's kind of where that's at. And so I wanted to do a Buckeye Friday and just kind of talk a little bit about the transfer portal, kind of talk a little bit about what I think might happen with coaching, and just remind everybody that I have a couple rules. If you follow me on Twitter, I don't argue on Twitter. I might reply with a funny a GIF or something, but I don't argue on Twitter, and I don't tweet at players or at coaches. I know people ask me why about that, and it's just kind of a policy I have. I don't argue with strangers on social media, and a reminder that, coaches are, that's their job, and then players, they're kids. They're 18 to 23-year-old kids usually, and I can remember being 18 and we didn't have much social media then, and I don't think I would have liked people critiquing every little thing I did at that age. So it's just kind of my rule, my policy, so if you wonder why, that's why. So transfer portal, diving right into that. I do think Ohio State will be active. I wrote into Mark Rogers on one of his shows recently, and just kind of said, hey, do you think that Ohio State will be over under 7 incoming transfers? And the general consensus was over. So that could be some depth pieces, that could be some starters. I think it's going to be a healthy mix. Everything I've been able to find out and talk to people and in and around the program sounds like they might be aiming between above 10. So that wouldn't surprise me to see, the over-under above 7. If you think about what they did last year, I think that was right at 7 or maybe a little bit over, including Furlman, the long snapper. So what do I think they'll do? I think they're going to go out and get 2 starters on the offensive line at a minimum. I really do. I think that they're going to go hit the portal hard and early on the offensive line. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't go grab the kid from Indiana, the center from Notre Dame, and I think they'll honestly add depth, and I think they'll add depth because if you listened throughout the year, Ryan Day basically said their best 5 was out there and there wasn't anybody pushing those 5, and so if those were our best 5, and I thought Jimmy Simmons ended up having Jimmy Simmons, whatever you want to call him, had a really good year. Probably kind of the same situation here where you'll probably go out and get 2. I think they're going to go get 2 more starters, and we're really dealing with that end of the Greg Studwara era. We've talked about it at length, and now we're in year 2 of Justin Fry. But if you think about it, last year's recruits were freshmen this year, so that's a lot to ask of a freshman to come in and play in the Big Ten immediately, because there wasn't a Paris Johnson, there wasn't an Orlando Pace in these classes, so you're not going to have that. And so I do think that, in this era where they can go and pluck young men from other programs to play at an elite program like Ohio State for 2 years and then go off to the NFL, I think they're going to do that. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't end up with probably a total of 5 offensive linemen and probably 2 starters. Now, it may not all be in the early transfer portal window. They may go grab a couple guys late like they did in the second transfer portal window this year. So if you think about it too, like Vic Cutler has already announced he's moving on. So you've now lost one of your guys that you brought in, one of your veteran guys on the portal into the portal. So there's that. Defensive line depth. I think they're going to go after depth. You already saw that they probably. Or they did offer the kid from Middle Tennessee State, and they are in on Thor from Harvard. I think they're going to go probably. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go look at an edge rusher if the right one came about. But some of this is going to be dependent on decisions that guys make too. You only have 85 scholarships, so if Sawyer stays and JT goes, or both go, but Tyleek and Mike Hall stay, there's a lot of moving pieces in there. So, but I do think they need some interior help. Getting Taiwan Malone last year helped. I think they'll probably go get a safety if there's one that they really like. Because they have a lot of young guys in the back end. Because I don't see Proctor coming back for his like ninth year for his doctorate or whatever it is, and I have a hard time seeing Lathan Ransom come back after the year he had. Although I would love it, like I'd love for him to come back as a fifth year senior. Like that guy, he can play some football, and I know that there's some bad memories of him falling down and one-on-one press coverage in 2022. But I thought he had a great year of football this year. Tight end, I think they'll have to go out and get one, and I would expect it to be an inline tight end because I don't think G. Scott's that guy. I don't think Joe Royer's that guy, and I don't think Jelani Thurman's that guy. So those guys are all great split ends. They can work the seam. They're great hands. But I think they need that inline blocking tight end. And so when I think about that, I think about like Jeff Hireman and those guys that like were phenomenal blockers on the edge. And for Ryan Day's offense to work well and the 12 personnel to work well, you have to have that. And so I questioned a lot Cade Stover's blocking on the edge. You guys, if you followed me for any time, that's not new. I've questioned that. I love Cade Stover. Great player, heck of a football player. Going to make a great NFL tight end. But with him being dinged in his back and his knee, he just wasn't quite getting there. And so I think that I wouldn't be surprised to see if them go find an inline tight end that can kind of catch as well. Along the lines of like what Notre Dame and that team up north do, honestly, with their tight ends. I also expect them to go get some linebacker depth. I know they brought in Nigel Glover last year, so like if you're looking ahead, Tommy and Steele are both gone. I do expect Cody Simon back, so that leaves you with C.J. Hicks. And if he has a phenomenal year because of his athletic prowess, he's gone after next year. He's a junior. He's a true junior. So Hicks, Gabe Powers, who I really, really like, and Cody Simon, but they're young. And there's not a lot, so you have Reed Carrico, and then you have Garrett Stover coming in and some other folks coming in this as true freshmen. However, I do expect them to go grab one or two maybe depth pieces just to help as for the linebackers. And now the quarterback. So, gosh, I know that like I've talked to a few of you on Twitter, and I really appreciate all you guys. And I love to like banter and talk, and especially about Ohio State football and what they will and won't do. And guys, I can tell you, like I can only go off the information that I'm given, and a lot of times, like I try to talk to as many people as I can that would, I believe, have knowledge about what's going on. I do have some associates and stuff that I reach out to and just ask for opinions. I don't know Ryan Day. I don't know Brian Hartline. I've met Brian Hartline at a fundraiser. I've met some players at fundraisers. I've been around the program. For probably 25 years, give or take, like at games and different opportunities that I've had through various charitable organizations and stuff. And so, I support the foundation, and I try to do as much as I can as a fan can. But I do not think, unless like the version of Cam Newton that transferred into Auburn is available, I don't see Ohio State going into the portal and getting a quarterback. Now, I will caveat this and say I was 100% wrong when I thought that they would not go and get Justin Fields. I in no way, shape, or form believed that they were going to go get a transfer portal quarterback and that they were going to bring in Justin Fields. I thought that it was going to be Jack Miller's team. I'll just be honest. I really did. I like Jack Miller a lot. I thought it was going to be his show. I thought he was going to beat out Tate Martell. That's just where I believed we were going to be. That's not the way it went. So what I will say, and I know everybody's really excited about Cam Ward, and he makes some highlight reel plays and throws. What I would ask you to do is go watch an entire football game of Cam Ward, or 2 or 3. And if you were questioning McCord's decision making and throws this year, I promise you will do the same watching Cam Ward. Yes, he's mobile. Yes, he makes highlight reel plays, but it's the play in and play out stuff. Just take a look, just for yourself, just for your own edification, if you feel like it. If you don't, that's okay. Like, you can watch the highlights. That's great, But I can just say that, like, I've watched some Pac-12 After Dark, and would not be my first choice. I know that there's a lot of scuttlebutt out there, and I know that there's certain podcasts that really like him. I, however, am not one of those people. I think he's a great kid. I don't see that making sense here. Dante Moore. The hype was last year because everybody thought he was going to commit after the All-American Bowl to Ohio State. He started as a true freshman. I don't believe he's under consideration, and I do think he's a great player, but I don't think he makes sense because I don't think he would start this year. I'll just be honest. I think he needs more development. He needs more time, and the way that the recruiting classes are structured, so you go in and out and you get Dante Moore, and then you're going to have he and probably Keenholz fight it out for who starts this year. Because honestly, Brown and McCord are both going to leave if they bring him in. And he needs 2 years. But that kind of screws things up for Aaron Nolan, because I truly believe Aaron Nolan's the guy in 2025. Like, I think he's the incumbent. I think he's going to be the guy. I really like Lee Keenholz. I think he's a great kid. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I think Aaron Nolan is better and has more upside. And so I think that if you bring in Dante Moore, and he starts in 2025, then that puts 2026 on Aaron Nolan, which puts you behind with the 8 ball with Tavian St. Clair, and it just messes everything up. I don't think that works. It doesn't make sense in my mind. And so that's kind of where I keep saying I don't think it's a Dante Moore thing. I've said all along, I think if Ohio State went out and got somebody, it's a 1-year guy that is 100% a starter and an upgrade over Kyle McCord. So you're looking for a top 7 quarterback, in my mind, in the country. So let's list off the top 7 programs right now, shall we? Alabama, Georgia, and in no particular order, these are the ones that just come to my mind. Oregon, Washington, Texas, Ohio State. Who am I leaving out? That team up north. So think about the quarterbacks on those teams. Do you see any of them transferring to Ohio State? Probably not. So in my mind, and I'm not saying that they have the best quarterbacks. I'm just saying, like, when you're thinking about your program as holistically, I have a hard time envisioning that happening. And where I would land, and I agree 100% with Bill Landis, who mentioned this on the podcast, and this is somebody I mentioned last year too, is the kid from Tulane, that Prater kid. He makes sense to me and that's if he forgoes the NFL. Let's say he gets a 3rd round draft grade and decides to come back. He would make sense to me. Another kid that kind of would make sense would be like a Riley Leonard, where it's a 1-year thing and you're not messing up your pipeline, but you're absolutely upgrading the quarterback position. I was trying to think. I had one other guy in my mind that maybe would, make sense in this case, but I can't, in my mind, I can't justify that. And so, I'm anything but like a Kyle McCord apologist or a Ryan Day apologist. I just call it like I see it. And I'm struggling with the way that shakes out in my mind, because I love Aaron Nolan and Tavian St. Clair, And I think Tavian St. Clair will be the best of all of them when all is said and done. This episode of the Buckeye Blitz is sponsored by Diet Coke. Just kidding. I'm just having a drink. And then as far as coaches go, somebody asked me, kind of what I thought of anybody that might get poached. Justin Fry is not getting poached. Matter of fact, I think Indiana just hired the James Madison head coach. Coach Key could realistically end up at ECU. I'd hate to see it because all of the players and recruits love Coach Keenan Bailey. I definitely don't want that to happen, but the good ones always go. That's kind of the way things go with that stuff. The other one would be Jim Knowles interviewing at Duke. That actually makes sense in my head. I don't want to lose Knowles because I like having consistency on the defensive side of the football. I like Jim Knowles. I think there's still some stuff to be worked out, but I like him and his philosophy. What I can say is they're not going to be able to bring Jeff Hafley in. There's some guys out there that I'm intrigued by. One of them will be Jim Leonard. But then, why is he not still at Wisconsin? So there's some things there, as always with football, coaches. But yeah, so that's that. We won't know too much until after the conference championships, and then Ohio State knows where they're going to be for the bowl game. If you're asking me right now, I think Ohio State does have an outside shot to get in, but honestly, the thing is Oklahoma State has to win. The rest of it kind of, I think, will work itself out, but if Oklahoma State doesn't win, we're most likely going to the Orange Bowl. So that's going to do it for me today. I hope this makes sense. I hope it helps you a little bit. I hope, if you follow me on Twitter, kind of where my head's at. And I just kind of want to explain why I feel the way that I feel. I try not to be argumentative. I'm just, I have this kind of take all the information I've gotten and everything I've understood and try to make it make sense for everybody else. So have a great weekend. Enjoy championship weekend. Go Bucks as always. Maybe we get in, maybe we don't. If we do get in, I'll be doing a podcast right after the announcement. So I would be excited to have another rematch with Georgia. I think Ryan Day would have a little something for him. But anyways, you guys have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. And as always, go Bucks.